Welcome into another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, along with Keeneland's Director of Simulcasting, Jim Goodman, and we're going to take a look at the 4 stakes races that comprise an all-stakes pick 4 on Stephen Foster night at Churchill, and also 2 Grade 1s on the card at Santa Anita on Saturday. And Jim, let's start with the 6th race for Churchill, which is the Grade 3 Matt Winn, 3-year-olds at a mile on the 16th, and you've got a Derby alum in Tapiture that is the 9-5 favorite in there. Where did you go?
I really wanted to beat him, but the way the race sets up, I don't think I can. I think that Rise Up, the 3-horse for Tom Amoss, and Almost Famous, who ran a great race on May 24th, an allowance race, just looked incredible for Patrick Byrne. He was a kind of a Derby horse back in 2013. They thought he might have a shot. He hadn't panned out, but then he ran great on the 24th. They're both going to want the lead. So I think Almost Famous and Rise Up set it up perfectly for Tapiture. And Tapiture, of course, ran okay in the Arkansas Derby, got enough points out of the Rebel in the Southwest to get into the Derby and never was in the race. But he's probably better than these horses. So I'm going to take Tapiture on top. I'm going to assume that Rise Up and Almost Famous, one of them is going to run the other one out. And I'm going to say that the horse on the outside, Le Peroux's horse, Ulan Bader, is going to get up for a piece of the money. So I'm going to take Tapiture on top with 3-5-7 with all.
I think we're on the same horse here at Tapiture. I think a mile of 16th or less may be this horse's best distance. And I'm hoping maybe that the fans will see the big margin victory and the big buyer for Almost Famous and maybe make him the favorite. And we might get a little better price on Tapiture. And then I'd bet him to win and then use him in exactas with Almost Famous, with Ulan Bader. I think that's a good price play. And then Conquest Titan. Saw this horse run at Churchill last fall. It just looked sensational and never really did build much on that as a 3-year-old yet. But maybe getting back to Churchill, and if there is a good bit of speed, that'll help him. And I think he's at 10-1 is an interesting one in there too. So the 2 Tapiture is my pick as well, and then I'll use him with 4, 6, and 7 in exactas, and probably use all of those, and maybe even the 1 Rank Has Privileges at 20-1 for McPeak. I think I'll probably use all 5 to start my pick 4 because I'm going to single a little bit later on. But we'll go to the 7th race, which is the Fleur de Lis. In fact, this is the race I'm going to single. It's On Fire Baby, number 4, her favorite track, and she just has a class edge that I think I can't get past her here. I think 50 Shades of Hay may not be quite as good as she looked in that last race. So I'll use On Fire Baby over the 1 Ondine, the 6 Flashy American who likes Churchill, and the 5 50 Shades of Hay just as a little saver. But On Fire Baby for me. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. On Fire Baby looks like a big favorite here. She may be 4-5, and how can you not pick her? She won the La Troyenne, and she's going to win the Fleur de Lis. So she's got the foreign language deal going at Churchill Downs. So you have to bet on the French horse, I guess. 50 Shades of Hay looked really good in the Ruffian, so I'm going to give her a shot. I'm not going to single On Fire Baby. I'm also going to take 50 Shades of Hay in here just in case she's getting better at the right time, because that was a pretty impressive race in the Ruffian at Belmont on May the 11th. So I'm going to take On Fire Baby on top of 50 Shades of Hay. The other horse in here that I think has an outside shot is Flashy American, simply because 3 for 7 at Churchill, Kenny McPeak, moving up in class, but has run well here at the past. So I think On Fire Baby on top of 50 Shades of Hay and Flashy American for me.
8th race is the main event, the Grade 1 Stephen Foster, 3-year-olds and up, going a mile and an 1/8. You got Will Take Charge in here that is going to be the favorite and comes off just a really dull effort. I know you really love this guy in some big races last year and got good on him. Are you sticking with Will Take Charge in the Foster?
Nope, I'm not. I've lost enough money on Will Take Charge. I really didn't like the Ali Sheba at all. And he may bounce back, but that was his 4th race without a layoff, and this is going to be his 5th race without a significant layoff, even though he's been off for, 6 weeks or so. I just think that D. Wayne has a habit of running him a little bit too often, and maybe that's what's happened with him. He didn't look good at all, and Ali Sheba had no shot. And the Oakland handicap, he beat up Revolutionary, but Revolutionary looked awesome in the Pimlico Special. So if the charts are correct, Revolutionary was 30 lengths out of it at the beginning. Now, that's 5 seconds, okay, or 6 seconds. I'm sorry, at a length for fifth of a second. If that's true, he made up 30 lengths on the field and won, beat Prayer for Relief at the wire. It's incredible. I thought he had no shot, and he ran great. So I'm taking Revolutionary on top here. Moonshine Mullen looked really good in the Alley Sheba, and I think he'll come back and run pretty well for Calvin. Probably will get the lead, and he could be right on the rail all the way around, just like Calvin always does. We'll Take Charge. I'll put underneath, along with the horse that finished second, Revolutionary. Prayer for Relief for Johnny Velasquez. But I'm going to take Revolutionary on top. I'm going to get off We'll Take Charge wagon, so maybe he's going to win today.
I think he's vulnerable too, and I'm actually taking a swing with Departing. They tried this horse in a Grade 1 last year in the Preakness off the Illinois Derby, and he came up short. Kind of was on the worst part of the track that day, but then they just kind of kept him at a lesser level, and he had a nice year. And then now comes back, gets one start as a 4-year-old, looks impressive of winning an allowance at Churchill, and now they jump back into the deep end of the pool. And that's a pretty bold move, I think, given that they tried it once before and it didn't work so well. So rather than gradually build this horse up to get back to that Grade 1 level maybe later, they're going ahead and jumping in now. And since guys like Al Stahl and the Hancocks of Claiborne Farm and Mrs. Dilschneider are doing this, I'm going to go with that as a sign of confidence and take Departing, and then I'll use him with Will Take Charge, Revolutionary, and also Long River, who ran a couple of great races on the inner at Aqueduct, and then didn't run so well last time, but Kieran McLaughlin's pretty sharp when he ships, so I'll take an exacta with Long River too, but Departing's going to be the key horse for me, and then in the pick 4, I'll use him, Will Take Charge, and probably Revolutionary as well. Ninth race is a race where I think you might be able to find a price. It's the Grade 3 Regret for 3-year-old fillies at 1 1/8 miles. You've got the horses that ran 1-2 in the Edgewood in here, A Little Bit Sassy and Istanford, and then Istanford went up and beat the boys at Arlington. And I figure they'll take the bulk of the money. I think the 6 is an intriguing price here as a turf debuter, but Catalano's got a good record with first-time turfers, and this horse is bred to love turf. But I'm actually going to VV Goodnight. And this horse ran her best buyer with a bad trip in the Edgewood for Tom Proctor. Switches to Rosie this time. I didn't think she got the greatest ride in the Edgewood, and she was off a beat slow, and then looked like started her move way too early, starting it, going around the turn, and just kind of flattened out a little bit, but still had enough of a run to get close at the end. And, Vice Regent Mare ought to like a stretch out in distance, and I think you might get a little bit of a price on VV Goodnight. So that's my pick, the 3, and then I'll key in exactas with 4, 6, and 7. What about you?
I'm going to go with this Stanford. I think beating the boys at Arlington last time was pretty impressive. I don't have a strong opinion here. I've got 5 horses in my pick 4. The ones that you listed, VV Goodnight, A Little Bit Sassy, Stanford, Aurelius Bell, who I really think has a shot here. I think Catalano is good. First time on turf, and he's a good trainer. She took a shot in the Kentucky Oaks and was overmatched, but she looked very good before that. The other one that I put in there is Share the Sugar, a very lightly raced filly on the outside for Kenny McPeak, and Le Peru is tough on the turf at 1 1/8 miles, and she's actually run 1 1/8 miles and got beat a couple of lengths by Personal Diary and Sea Queen. Personal Diary is in here as well, but I think Share the Sugar has more of upside. So I'm going to take Stanford on top with those other 4 horses I listed. So I would play a 7 with 3, 6, 3, 4, 7, 9. 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 is what is the 5 horses I would use.
My pick 4 ticket, I'll have all 5 of those I mentioned in the Matt Wynn, Single On Fire Baby, use Will Take Charge, Departing, and Revolutionary, and then use the 4 I mentioned in the Fleur de Lis. So that's 5 by 1 by 3 by 4, $60 for $1 or 50 cents. It only costs you $30.
Yeah, I've got a cheaper one. I've got Tapiture Stingled. I've got On Fire Baby and 50 Shades of Hay in the second, 4-5 with the 1, 3, 4, 9. Maybe King Revolutionary in another ticket, and then 3, 4, 6, 7, 9 in the end for $20. 2 with 4, 5 with 1, 3, 4, 9 with 3, 4, 6, 7, 9.
We'll go to Santa Anita for a couple of Grade 1s on their card. The first one is the 7th race, the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, 3-year-olds and up at a flat mile on the turf. And you've got Jack Milton shipping out off a nice win in New York. You got obviously Down on the Rail, probably going to be the favorite. Where did you go?
I can make a case for 6 out of these 7 horses. So you might want to bet Pulpits Express because it's the only one I can't make a case for. I went with Christophe Clement. He had a good weekend last weekend.
Did he ever?
Won the Belmont. He's a great trainer. He shipped Summerfront out from Belmont. He ran really well in the Fort Marcy. Just got beat by 5-iron, who got off to a really easy lead and just held on. So I think Summerfront at a price here has a real shot. But I can make a case for, obviously, Jack Milton, Tom's Tribute, Winning Prize, Silentio. So I'm going to go with Summerfront on top, the 5, with Silentio possibly, obviously, in Jack Milton and Winning Prize below. But the only one I would toss is Pulpits Express. Silentio may get overlooked in here. I think that Summerfront, though, is a very good shot at getting overlooked with he might be the 5th choice. And he's 8 for 18 lifetime. He's 5 for 6 at the distance, which is very important. He drops back to a mile, having not been running a mile lately, but when he drops back, he's really tough. So Summerfront for me.
Yeah, I think that's the real good point about this horse in the distance. And that's kind of where I ended up going. The reason why I went to the horse I like, which is the 2 Jack Milton. I think he's going to be best at around a mile, maybe a little further, or dropping down occasionally to 7 furlongs if possible. When this horse ran at Keeneland and won last spring, I was real impressed with him, and lost some money on him over the course of the year when he'd run well and just come up short continually in bigger, longer races. Well, now as a 4-year-old, he has 2 easy wins, both at a mile. And so I think maybe they've decided that that's his best distance, and it looks like it's agreeing with him. Castellano giving up a day of riding in New York to go out and ride this horse. I was impressed with that, too. And then I'm just going to use him with 3 of the locals, obviously Tom's Tribute and Winning Prize. But I think you make a good point about Summerfront and horizontal wagers. I'd certainly have to throw him in there as well, probably even maybe throw him in an exacta with Jack Milton. But Jack Milton's the pick for me, the 2, and I'll use him with 1, 3, and 4 in my exactas. 8th race is the Vanity. Fillies and Mares 3 and up at a mile and an 8th. And you got horse Grace Hall that's shipping across the country. I'm guessing that she didn't want to tackle the likes of Close Hatches, Beholder, and Princess of Silmar in the Phipps. So while Beholder went east, Grace Hall comes west looking for an easier Grade 1, while Beholder found a harder Grade 1, because Beholder would have been a huge favorite here in the Vanity. So Grace Hall is I think, a little bit dangerous in here for Mott, but I ended up taking the 1, Iotapa. Got cooked chasing Midnight Lucky at Churchill, and I think Midnight Lucky is really, really good. So I just kind of draw a line through that race, and she's been in the money, top 2 in all 5 starts at Santa Anita, had 4 good works since that failed attempt at Churchill, and I think getting back home will be the trick for the 1 Iotapa for Sadler, and then I'm going to use her with Grace Hall, the 3, and Magic Union, the 2, another Sadler. I think the Magic Union could possibly win this, too, for Sadler, so I think there's a good chance Sadler's going to saddle the winner, but I'm going to say it's going to be number 1 Iotapa. What about you?
Oh, I'm going to take Let Faith Arise. I really like her, and she beat Iotapa in that race you're talking about, Santa Margarita, and came back and won the Adoration over a couple of these horses, finished behind Close Hatches and On Fire Baby, and in the Apple Blossom at Oaklawn, I believe Close Hatches will be 1-5 here.
Yeah.
And she got 3 lengths of Close Hatches. So I just like Let Faith Arise a lot here, and I would single her in the late pick 4s, and the late pick 3 at Santa Anita. The other horses, I like the horses that you mentioned. It's a nice race. At Grace Hall, second off a layoff. She had a long layoff. She's off for 13 months. And you're right, she didn't want to tackle those horses in New York, but I think she's getting a couple of good local horses here that are going to be very tough. So I can make a case for your other horses, but I'm taking Let Faith Arise on top of Magic Union, Iotapa, and Grace Hall.
Great day of racing is 3 Grade 1s that we've taken a look at, and the other 3 graded stakes on the Churchill card. And that's, of course, a nighttime card, so you should be right there when Santa Anita's running their Grade 1s. You'll still be playing Churchill, so it's a great matchup for your Saturday wagering. Make sure to, if your Keeneland Select account got emptied out on Belmont Day, that you have reloaded for this weekend. And a reminder, we should always remind folks, too, that if they're coming out to the track for simulcasting, it's in the equestrian room now, which is a nice setup.
It is. We have the equestrian room and the Brats and Brew, which is right next to it, plus the patio. The North Terrace patio is very nice. And so we've got a nice setup in the back part of the track. It's a little bit away from the paddock and just a little more comfortable, a little nicer setup.
So good luck this weekend. We'll be back next week for another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.